BlizzCon 2023 has come and gone. The two-day event returned after a 4-year absence, and audiences around the world were treated to a glimpse into the ghost of Blizzard's future. There was a lot to unpack, almost too much. But don't worry, I'm going to condense it all for you and talk about the stuff that's actually important, and how optimistic the future of each series is looking. To make this easy, let's do this alphabetically. I'll go through each of the franchises one by one and boil them down. Then I'm going to give it a rating, a 0 to 10 for how positive the future of the respective IP is looking. I'll also have chapters in case you want to skip ahead to the games you actually care about. Don't worry, I won't be offended if you do. All good? Great, then let's start with Diablo. We're 6 months into Diablo 4's lifespan, and Blizzard were keen to show what the next 12 or so would look like. Sort of. They gave us a lot of details about the next 2 months, and then not much at all for the next 10. So the big thing was an expansion announcement, but I'll loop around to that for a dramatic climax. In the coming months, Diablo fans have a few big things to look forward to, and some events to mark on your calendars. The first is a 6-week event, the Abattoir of Xia. This is a new endgame system starting on the 5th of December for max level players. They'll receive a special sigil and open a portal. Here they'll have 10 minutes to murder and maim as many monsters as they can until a boss is spawned. Killing the boss will reward the player with a horde of treasures and items, and upgrade your sigil, allowing them to take on bigger challenges. Wait, this sounds a lot like Greater Rifts from Diablo 3. That can't be right. So yes, Diablo 4 is introducing Greater Rifts, but that's not all. December will also see the game get its very own Christmas event, Midwinter Blight. The Fractured Peaks are getting particularly festive, as a red-cloaked horror and his band of merry goatmen are raising hell. There'll be new monsters prowling the land, seasonal cosmetics to unlock, and new exclusive currencies, events, and encounters. We also might get to see what Santa Claus looked like in the Diablo universe, which I can imagine has been pretty awful. The team also gave a quick peek into Season 3, which features another new endgame activity, Gauntlets. These are special rotating dungeons that reset each week and can be done solo or in a group. Do well enough, and you'll place on the weekly leaderboard for all to see, and earn a nifty hero panel to flex on how great you are. Finally, the expansion, the big stuff. It's called Vessel of Hatred, and we got this cinematic for it. But that's about all we got. It's almost certainly going to centre around Mephisto, and it'll bring players to new locations, like the Torajan jungles, as well as return to Kurast from Diablo 2. There's also a new playable class, but we didn't find out what it is yet. They just said it's going to be new to the world of Diablo, so no paladins, amazons, or witch doctors. Sorry for all of you who had high hopes for that. Alright, so future of Diablo as a rating. The next 2 months look pretty packed. Let's give it an 8. Everything after that, well, there's pretty much nothing we found out, so let's give that a 2. So it'll average at a 5. After D for Diablo comes H, where I talk about Hearthstone. Blizzard's collectible card game also has an expansion to look forward to, Showdown in the Badlands, and this time we do actually have some details. It's got a Wild West theme, and we'll look at the backstory of 2 familiar faces, Reno Jackson and Elise Starseeker. There are 2 new keywords, Quick Draw and Excavate. The first gives an effect when you draw the keyworded card, and the second gives ramping benefits the more times you play Excavate cards. The big thing with the new expansion is the game's first neutral hero, Reno, Lone Ranger. Any class can play this, and if your deck has no duplicates, he does a near board clear, limits the enemy to 1 minion for a turn, and gives you a new hero power. This is complemented by a few other class legendaries, which also give an effect on having no duplicates. Those of you who missed the days of your Reno Mage or Locke, rejoice! Those decks are back. Battlegrounds is also getting a co-op mode, where you can trade cards with a friend and double team your way to victory. There's also a new incentive for returning players to get back into the game, as Blizzard is offering some very lucrative return bonuses. Overall, the new expansion sounds cool, but the new hero character may well define the meta. The scrambling for players to return doesn't fill me with confidence either. I'll give it a 4. Nah, 4.5. I like Reno. And next comes Overwatch. The team-based shooter is welcoming a new hero, Moga, as a brand new character. This Samoan tank seemingly doesn't understand the concept of less is more, and wields a massive chain gun in each hand. The team also revealed 2 other upcoming heroes, a support and a DPS, codenamed Venture and Space Ranger. Also on the horizon is a new game mode, Clash, a capture point variant, and a new map, Hanaoka, which from what I gathered is just the new version of Hanamura from Overwatch 1. There's also a reworking coming for how seasons, rewards and lore work, which could mean some slack and relaxed monetization. Or it could mean the exact opposite. I'd wager the second one. Along with those are new cosmetics, removing some matchmaking restrictions, and some teasing at upcoming season themes. All in all, there's some cool stuff going on, but also no word of that fabled PvE campaign they talked about all those years ago. Just feels like more of the same, to be honest, and I don't find it all that exciting. I'll give it a 4. 2 points for each of Moga's massive guns. And on to R. And there's a new Blizzard strategy game. Is it finally Warcraft 4? Don't be absurd. It's a Clash Royale-esque mobile game called Rumble. This has been known about for a while, formerly called Arc-Light Rumble. Players will collect miniatures and complete missions with them, do dungeons, raids, and fight other players. You can amass a tiny army from various Warcraft factions, gain new heroes, and level them all up. Honestly, this isn't my type of thing, but I think it's pretty neat, and nice to see Blizzard do something different. Yes, I'd rather different wasn't a mobile game, and yes, obviously I hate all the ways the game tries to make you spend your money, but I don't hate this. I'll give it a 6.5. And after R, there's S. S, sir. I feel like, there's something there. Oh, StarCraft! I remembered it existed, unlike a certain company. That might be a bit harsh. For a few glorious seconds, StarCraft was mentioned by name on the main stage, and that was the entirety of its BlizzCon presence.
StarCraft.
Heroes of the Storm, another game relegated by Blizzard, was played by some intrepid fans on the demo PCs before event staff told them off and made them play Diablo instead. Sadly, these games were not featured, so they get a big fat 0. But wait, maybe there's hope. With Microsoft taking over, they made a point of putting resources in forgotten games. Could StarCraft and Heroes of the Storm be those games? Despite being left out, StarCraft does still have legions of fans, and HOTS, there's gotta be dozens. Maybe Microsoft will do right by these lot and bring these games back into the spotlight. And with that big dose of opium, I'm upgrading that 0 score to a 0.002. Look, there's a chance. And finally, the big Mamu, Warcraft. Chris Metson returned to Blizzard this year, and players knew he was going to bring his trademark thunder to the convention. And he did.
What up, Blizzcon? Holy smokes! Horde, where you at? Alliance!
He didn't just announce an expansion, nor 2. He announced 3 at the same time, and a fancy title to tie them all together, the World Soul Saga. This is good for fans of Warcraft. For a while, the series has felt a little bit disjointed from one release to the next, but now we know it's all feeding into one big narrative. This is kicking off next year with The War Within, followed by Midnight, which will see players protect the Sunwell from insidious void forces. Finally, the saga gets its conclusion with The Last Titan, where players return to Northrend to witness, well, you guessed it, The Last Titan. This is a big move, and a change in how WoW deals with expansions. These are going to be tighter and more frequent. So we got the most details about the first expansion, The War Within, and there are some nifty features coming along. But before we learn those, we got treated to the fancy new cinematic, which was quite frankly excellent.
I'm not that person anymore!
There'll be 4 new zones for players to get their chompers stuck into, as well as 8 dungeons and 1 raid on launch. Let's talk about features, and one of the most exciting is the new hero talents. Classes will now get a new specialization tree to provide some bonuses and added roleplay to their character. A lot of these are inspired by legends of old from Warcraft 3. Druids can be keepers of the grove, warriors can become a mountain thane, and a hunter can follow the path of Sylvanas and become a dark ranger. Because that really ended up great for everyone, right? Solo players will have a new endgame activity to delve into, called, Delves. And alts will be getting some love with the new warband system. Basically, you can now earn rewards and progress for your whole account as you play, which is honestly great. I don't know how it's taken this long for the game to add in horizontal progression, but it's really good it's here. There's a bunch of other stuff. Cross-realm guilds, dynamic flight in all areas, and new allied races for both Horde and Alliance. Yep, more dwarves, but this time with Christmas lights. But that's not all. Classic got some new goodies too. On the one hand, Cataclysm, which is kinda divisive. Some love it, some really, really don't. I thought it was a good expansion, but there is a caveat. If they're doing kata, then are they just going to go and do every expansion? Are players going to have to play Warlord of Draenor again? These poor fools. But if that doesn't float your boat, there's something else. If you remember before BlizzCon, the word in the air was Classic Plus. Well, that didn't happen. But there's something like it, Season of Discovery. It has a lower level cap of 25, but new features. New raids and challenges, and items and goals. And every few months, the level cap goes up, and more stuff unlocks. So it's kind of like what folks wanted with Classic Plus, without the name. Maybe it's a safety net, so if it all goes wrong, they can still do Classic Plus the second time around. Season of Discovery will also bring a bunch of new ways to play. Blizz talked about making it so a Warlock can tank, as well as multiple other options to change how classes work. Maybe they'll make it so a Warrior can heal people by punching them in the face, or make it so Elemental Shaman can actually do damage. The possibilities are endless. So this is all big. Metson wowed us all with his expansions and his grand designs for Warcraft, and I'm going to give this a magnificently high 9 out of 10. Oh no, but wait, there's a spanner in the works. So all of this is great, but there's one force of evil that works against it all. So you know the new trend of buying the Super Deluxe Collector's Edition and playing a few days early? Well, they're doing that. Basically, give us more money or miss the start of the expansion. Anyone in a competitive guild will be forced to pay, and because it will 100% fall on a weekend, anyone with a job hoping to dive in and enjoy the expansion over the weekend will either shell out extra or wait till the following week. Honestly, it's a really crummy tactic, and Blizzard should be ashamed. It's bad enough on any game charging people extra to play the game on its release date, but an MMO? It just kind of goes against the spirit of the whole damn thing. So with that, the 9 goes down to a 6. 1 point lost for each day of early access Blizzard is trying to charge us for. And there we go. That's every game that was shown at BlizzCon. All the important details and content on the horizon, and just how positive I believe each of these franchises' futures are. On average, it's looking like, what, 4 or 5 across the board? Even less if you count the 0.002 for StarCrafts and HOTS. Basically, some very cool stuff, but Blizzard is not out of the woods yet. And they've a while to go to reach that same excitement of the good old days. Oh, and they're still just very, very greedy. Don't agree with my ratings? Give me your own in the comment section below. And also, drop me a message if you're a Heroes of the Storm player. I've been trying to meet another one for years. I keep telling people there's loads of us, but no one believes me.